Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the Shark Lift Away vacuum. This is a residential vacuum, not a commercial one, so it's not necessarily built for our locations, which is why it's extra important to take care of it and keep it clean. But it has an amazing ability to clean, and we want to harness that power, okay? So starting from the bottom, we want to look at this vacuum, kind of working our way up. So this vacuum has two brush rolls. The front one is a little bit more of like a carpet feel. It's got it's really, really soft and plush, and it's really great for picking up hairs and small dusty items and debris. But what can happen is things can get stuck in there pretty easily, or hair can get clogged up in there. So you want to regularly pull that out. They made it very easy. There's a button on the side. You can just press it and it kind of pops it out. And then you can clean all of that junk from out of the inside of that kind of carpeted area. Behind it is a brush roll with kind of like squeegee attachments, rubber, and that helps kind of pick up junk on hard floors, as well as the bristles that are going to work into your carpet to help suction up dust and dirt in your carpet, okay? So you're going to want to check both of them regularly, make sure there's nothing stuck in them or clogged in there that might impede your cleaning. What we're going to see on this vacuum is that there was actually a rock stuck in that kind of front brush roll. And what it did is it rubbed until it got all the way down to that rubber inside of that brush roll. This should not happen. That should have made a noise, and it should have been not working properly. So if you're listening to your equipment and you're paying attention, you should notice something like that. If you're checking it regularly, that's not going to happen, okay? The next cool feature is that you can kind of get into all the hose areas to check for clogs. So there's the little clips on the bottom that gets you to the suction area that comes right out of the brush roll. You can check for clogs there, okay? This is where the HEPA filter goes, is right in the front. The HEPA filters are probably ones we didn't even know existed up until this point, because it's kind of behind this little plastic piece that clips off from the bottom. So we want to check those HEPA filters regularly because I'm going to show you they get pretty dirty, okay? The next cool feature is that the wand actually lifts away from the vacuum, pulls out from the vacuum by pushing that little gray button back there. Sorry, it took me just a second to figure out, but push that gray button and this wand comes out, and that is really great for getting to hard to reach areas. Also along the baseboards of walls to get into the areas where maybe your floor scrubber doesn't get. This is where the actual lift away feature comes in. So if you push this gray lever on the bottom, the canister and the vacuum kind of break away from the brush roll head. And then you can take the wand out by pushing that little gray button on the top, and you can carry the vacuum around with you to get under the areas, under desks and smaller areas that are hard to reach. So I think that's a great feature. And not everybody knows how to use it, so that's how you can do that. The hose detaches all the places, right? So it completely comes off. There's little clips on the side that you just have to push and then pull the hose out, and that way you can check for any clogs in there, okay? Troubleshooting at its finest right there. You can stick a broom handle down if maybe there's a Kleenex wadded up in there that you can't get out, okay? There's a button at the top that removes the smaller wand handle, and that's where you can attach the smaller attachments, like this stair step attachment. It's a smaller brush head that you can use on stairs or upholstery. It's great for chairs, things like that, pillows. And you can also attach the crevice tool or any of the other smaller attachments to help get into those hard to reach places or the smaller areas. Up at the top here is where you change from hard floor to carpet. It changes the brush rolls. Now let's talk about the cord. The cord on the Shark vacuum is fairly short, so almost always you're going to want to have an extension cord, but that extension cord does not wrap up with the regular cord. You'll have to wrap that separate. Always remember, when you're wrapping up a cord, you keep it loose at the edge there at the machine. If you pull that too tight, eventually you're going to fray that cord and you will have electrical problems. I've actually know someone who has seen a fireball come out from the vacuum cleaner when it was started up because of the electric charge that was sent through the machine, and that cord was frayed at that end, okay? So always hold that end loose before you begin wrapping, and then go ahead and wrap up the whole machine. Remember, always pull your plug from the wall. Do not just yank on the cord to pull your cord out from the wall. Let's move on to the filters. So if you pull the canister off, underneath there are two filters. One looks more like a sponge and the other looks more like a piece of fabric. Both of them are necessary. And what you're gonna find is that dirt, debris, rocks, and junk are gonna build up underneath that area. So if you have another vacuum on hand, you can use that to suck it up. Otherwise, you can use a brush and then just kind of flip it over, but keep that area clean and it will work better for you. Then the HEPA filter is underneath here, and you're gonna see on this one, it probably wasn't even known to exist. This one has never been cleaned, so it's extremely dirty. If we look inside of there, look at all that dirt that's kind of fallen off of it as I pulled it out, okay? So you're gonna wanna vacuum that dirt, and then you can take this filter outside and clean it pretty easily. If you just tap it on the curb or on a sidewalk or something like that, most of that dirt is gonna freely fall out of the HEPA filter, okay? You can kind of tap it both directions, flip it over, back and forth, whatever, clean that out. In an emergency, if you cannot get outside, you can use the garbage can, but make sure you hold it way down as far as you can, because otherwise that dirt is gonna fly out. Then take this long bristled brush and you can kind of get into the grooves of that HEPA filter and then finish tapping out any dirt that might have been stuck way up inside of it. This is mainly for filters that have never been cleaned out or are extremely dirty from like an elevator or a dirty location, okay? Brush that off really good. Never, ever, ever get that one wet. You will ruin the filter. Let's talk about the canister. You see how the little holes there are filled with dirt on a lot of them? That's because somebody probably put it back on the machine while it was still moist, that it hadn't completely dried. And so what happens is the dirt that gets sucked into there turns into mud, and then it eventually does dry out and it clogs up that space. So you never want to put it back there wet, but you also want to clean this regular. It doesn't look like this canister has been rinsed out very regularly. You can see that there's kind of a lot of dirt buildup, okay? There's those little black lines where the canister lids go on both ends, the top and the bottom. Those black lines are gaskets, and you want to make sure to scrub those really good. If you think about it, those gaskets are what seals the vacuum. The better your seal, the better the suction, okay? And so we want to clean those gaskets so they're not dusty, there's no hairs in them, because anything that's going to stop it from sealing tightly is going to stop the airflow, okay? Also remember to clean the bottom of the canister, that lid on the bottom that I was just cleaning. That is what touches your filters. And so if that is dirty and then it's touching your filters, you have to think about all of these pieces connect and touch each other, okay? So even remember to clean the bottom side of that canister. Now, I am getting into as many grooves as I can because like I said, this machine has not been cleaned regularly, it doesn't look like. The general rule of thumb is to rinse this out or clean it after every shift. Okay. If it's different at your location, the office will tell you upon training. If you don't feel like that's a good fit for you, you need to talk to the office, but ultimately we want you to be rinsing this canister out after each use. If you do that consistently, you will keep it clean and the machine will perform better for you. Now, as I take this toothbrush into that picture that I showed you from the front, look at this dirty water that's coming out. Okay. That is all caked in dirt. That's not getting cleaned out because of the regular cleaning. And so every once in a while, you might have to go in and do a really deep clean like this, okay? So I'm trying to do my best to get into all those grooves, clean it out regularly, remembering that the tighter the seal, the better the suction, the better the vacuum will perform for you, okay? This goes for all things when it comes to vacuums. If you keep that machine maintained and cleaned, filters cleaned out and the machine clean, it's gonna run better for you and it's gonna run longer for you. Okay, the next thing to remember when you're cleaning this, you cannot put this back on the machine wet. If you do, you're just gonna create mud and you're gonna ruin the machine. You're gonna ruin the filters because they're gonna get moisture into them. Everything's gonna cake together and you're gonna ruin the machine out, okay? Ultimately, the best time to do this is at the end of your shift. Even though that's when you're the most tired and you've worked hard and you're ready to go home, this is when you need to just give it that little extra effort and take care of your equipment at the end of each shift so that it's ready to go for you at the next shift. It's dry and cleaned out and ready to go. Now let's go ahead and wash those two soft filters. These you actually are gonna wash with water, and we're also gonna use the Dawn Power Spray. We want to use a soap on the filters because it's going to release the dirt from the insides of them, okay? So spray them, suds them up a little bit, get them a little bit wet and suds them up good, and then go ahead and start rinsing. You're gonna repeat this process until the water rinses out clean. You can see how dirty this water is. And you're gonna know the difference between a dirty filter that still has dirt inside of it and a clean filter, okay? Repeat the process of rinsing, spray it down with some more soap, okay? Get that soap worked into the filter so that it releases all of the dirt that's way on the inside. and repeat this process until it rinses clean. Again, do this at the end of your shift so it has the entire next day or the rest of the week or whatever to dry out. You never put these filters in wet. Not moist, not wet, ever. So find a good ventilated area in your cleaning closet to let them set out to dry so that they're ready to go for your next shift. But please remember that these filters are not meant to last forever. At some point, you are going to need to replace them. And we have new filters, both the thin fabric one and the foamy looking filter. Both of those have replacements at the office. Then go ahead and wipe the rest of your vacuum down before putting everything back together or laying it out to dry for overnight. So you can vacuum out this area where the HEPA filter goes. If you don't have a second vacuum or can't get into the office, you can use a bristle brush and a rag. Any bristle brush, just something that will get into those holes. Remember, the airflow is going to go there. And so if the air can't flow through it, it's not going to work very well. Okay. So cleaning off all of these areas, wiping the vacuum down completely. Really, honestly, these are things that go for all of our equipment at Weber Cleaning. The better you take care of it, the better it's going to perform. Okay. So wiping down all of the areas each shift, or for sure once a week if you're cleaning every night, is going to give you better results. And honestly, paying attention to the sounds, the smells, and what's on the floor is going to help you achieve better results. If you hear that you sucked up a rock, check for that rock. If it rolls around in the canister and spins in there, you're going to wreck the canister. It's going to scratch it up. So stop and get that rock out. If you saw a rock, but you don't hear it in the canister, think, where did it go? Because it didn't just disappear between the floor and the canister. If it did, it's stuck somewhere, okay? If you hear anything that sounds off, if you hear it all of a sudden making a funny noise, stop, figure out what that funny noise is. If it's grinding, stop, figure out what that sound is, okay? Fix the problems before they become big problems. Small problems can be taken care of, big problems cost money. Smell, does it smell like something is burning? Does it smell like plastic? Pay attention to your cord. Don't run over your cord ever. You will cause it to get burned and frayed, and we're going to have to replace the cord. It's downtime for you. It's downtime for the machine, and all of that costs money. I know for me, my favorite part of cleaning is throwing my earbuds in and listening to podcasts or listening to books. But it's really important to only have one earbud in so I can actually hear what's going on at my location. Then go ahead and lay everything out to dry. Leave that canister open so it can air out. Lay those filters out so that they can get the best airflow, so they can dry over the weekend or before your next shift. Give your best every single time, and Weber Cleaning will always be considered the cleaning professionals.